Welcome to Budget Outlaws. Well, that was fun. We'll get into more of that in a bit. I know I promised a cutting video, but we're trying to go in order, so the next up is actually pulling. Now, warning, as you can see from the earlier video, don't try this at home. This is just dangerous. So the 914 has two major hits. Tree number one hit right behind the driver's left front tire and pushed it in hard there, also raising up the left front corner. Then it spun around and tree number two pushed down on the passenger front. So before I started cutting, I wanted to pull it back into position as much as possible to make it easier to put the new front end on. Oh, in case you missed it, we're cutting off the front end and welding on a new one. So here's how the setup is. I've put it on the jig that I built in the previous video, and there's a link in the description below. I drilled anchor bolts in 3 corners of the jig to hold it in place, as well as strapping it to the 2-post rack. I should have probably done 4, but as you could see in the opening video, it kind of took off, so live and learn. I had also put a heavy 2x2 square tube at the top of the 2-post rack to prevent it from bending in at the top. Obviously the bottom is bolted to the concrete. And then heavy chains all the way around, and a couple of blocks and braces and come-alongs. Now Michael is a retired experienced body man, so he came along to kibitz and laughed at my antics and occasionally provides some good encouragement to keep me going. So pull number 1 will be down and forward at the driver's front. I first set up for the front end pull. I had a heavy plate bolted to the 3 suspension bolts. I wasn't going to reuse this section, so I was only interested in getting a firm grip. So I used a Porter Power that I bought from an online body shop, as well as some push-pull rams, and I was ready to do some pulling. As you can see, the front end is off probably 4 to 6 inches high on the driver's side. It's hard to tell because the passenger side is pushed down as well. I began pulling and it came right back into position. Then I would release it and it would go right back. So Michael came over and I disconnected it, so I quickly hooked it back up again, but this time only with 1 bolt. Well, you know what happened. Thankfully, Michael and I had both moved out of the way when it popped, and it was a bit of excitement. So I played with blocks and jacks and such to brace it, and finally got it to move and get the front pan level again. I wasn't worried about the fender corners, just the pan area. That would indicate to me where it was connecting up with, and the body of the parts that I was keeping should be pretty close. Well, that actually worked out pretty good, so I'm happy with that, and we'll move on to pulling the side end. Pull number 2 will be out where the tree number 1 hit it behind the left front wheel. Yeah, it didn't go that fast in real life, but I'm happy with the results, so that gets us where we want to be. Next. Pull 3 will be in that same area where the door frame is to line it up a little bit better. And actually there is a pull 4. The cowl area was crunched in pretty bad, so I decided to weld a plate to it and pull it out just to try and line up the mating surfaces more than that, because that's going to get replaced anyways, but that's the last one. All this took a couple weeks, but it could have easily been 2 days if I wasn't learning along the way. So now I'm ready to do some cutting to remove all that ugly crunched portions. That's coming next.